over the film, the 3 and outs to start. What was kind of your diagnosis of what Caleb was kind of struggling with there?
Yeah, I think starting with me, putting the guys in the best position to have a fast start right there, something we talked about on offense, where obviously we're not looking to go, 3 and outs to start a game out. Defense did a great job of holding strong right there and allowing us to get into a rhythm, obviously in that fourth drive right there, and then leading into the second half. So really just starting with me, putting guys in good position to start fast, play efficient football, get some more runs going there, get a little bit better balance, and we'll be better with that moving forward.
I wonder specifically about the I don't know if it was the first drive, but the pass to Gerald Everett where he's a little bit behind him right away. What was going on that?
You're talking about on the keeper we ran rolling out to the right there. Yeah, because you have DJ in the flat there, Keenan coming on the over route. I believe Cole was on the deep corner. So just the way the play played out with the way that Caleb felt that match by the corner right away on Gerald. On DJ. So he made a quick decision to take kind of his check down right there. And I think that'll just come with more and more reps for both Gerald and Caleb, because every one of those keepers can play out a little bit differently. And in that particular one right there was a zoning defender in front of him. There was also a defender that Caleb felt behind him that Gerald didn't see. So just getting on the same page right there, and took the incompletion right there. But the thought process was right, and now it's about getting on the same page as far as the tempo with some of those, knowing that off those run actions, the different ways the defense can play out, changes, the picture changes each time.
What did you observe about how Caleb handled that? How that start wasn't what you guys wanted, and how he kind of navigated that?
Yeah, I think like he's been from the start of OTAs through the process of picking up the offense, learning all the ins and outs of the cadence, his players, everything for him is moving forward. Everything's forward thinking with a great positive mindset. He looks at it as what's the next chance to make the next play when he's out there. So every time got over the sidelines, talked about what happened, regrouped, and then got ready to go back out for the next drive right there.
What have you seen from Caleb in terms of recognition? Just with the more experience he gets, drive to drive, picking things up, decoding what defenses are doing, being sharper in your own playbook. Are you seeing that?
Yeah, the daily improvement, the daily recognition of all the different fronts, coverages, defensive structures that we'll see. Obviously, it was great to go against Cincinnati for a couple days there, where you get a little bit more of that 3-4 structure and their base defensive look. So, every one of these reps, I think he's used as a learning op, and he keeps banking them and understanding some of the spatial differences, maybe from the hash marks in college to the pros. So he's constantly learning and understanding, and it's our job to keep doing a great job with Kerry and myself of putting him in the where can his eyes go fast so he can read it and play fast every single snap.
What have you seen from him in terms of adapting to the speed, in terms of specifically the throwing windows that they just close so much faster?
Yep. I think, part of that, is just seeing concepts for the first time sometimes in those live game actions. But, he had the great, the ball out to Cole, the ball out to Simba, some of those where he's showing that he plays in rhythm, he can play in rhythm, find those throws. And then, what's pretty cool to watch is when the play breaks down, it almost seems like it's in slow motion for him, and he can find the different rush lanes, being smart with the ball, break and contain, and creating some explosives down the field. So, for us with him, it's about finding the balance of those two things, and I think he's doing a good job of progressing with that. And like you mentioned, feeling out what are those windows, what are the windows that are too tight to fit it in, or what are the windows that are legit completions before getting into potential scramble modes.
How rare is that for a quarter? You've been around quarterbacks forever. For a quarterback to be able to do that in terms of slowing it down, seeing everything in slow motion, like you described.
Yeah, I think it goes back to, for Caleb in particular, just his spatial awareness and, his ability to see the full picture, knows where everyone is. And that's where I see it with him, as he continues to develop, really just getting a handle on the reps and the accumulated reps of certain concepts. But as far as seeing the picture and then being able to get to different windows or different rush lanes that he finds, he's got that natural ability.
On the play action deep shot that drew the PI to Tyler, what did you like about the entirety of the sequence, the receiver, the quarterback, all things?
Yeah, that one started up front. The protection on that, for a play action fake right there. The O-line, with the feel of run, the two tight ends ended up on the double team on the backside defensive end right there, and then Rome running his crosser to eat up the safety driving so that Tyler could work that one-on-one matchup before the overlap corner played over the top. So just good execution all around. Obviously would love to get the completion out of it for Tyler because he did a good job winning initially on the route, and then got grabbed at the top of the route right there. But Caleb saw it cleanly, clean feet. So just a good shot of all 11 guys being in sync on an offensive snap.
What's Caleb's feel for the game? As you've got more experience with him, how do you sort of describe his ability to not only understand what he sees, but to explain it in a way that's productive for you and then the guys around him?
Yeah, I think it's a great trait that he has. Like when we get over to the sideline and you look at the surface, but before you even look at the surface, he can already tell you, why behind each read. And I think that's the most important part. If he's not seeing it clearly or something like that, that's where you really need to, go back and go through it. But, he sees it clearly, can really talk about, different windows. And also from the quarterback's lens is totally different than what you see from the stands lens or the coach on the sideline lens. That ground level, where was the defender exactly at when you hit the top of your drop? And he's so, he easily can clearly articulate every one of those points in regards to the space or what happened on a play.
To that end, when you're talking about some of the rules, and what Caleb talked about, the scramble rules on the 45-yarder to Rome, for him to know just where to stay in range, for Rome to know where he needed to be in that. I know the play looks effortless and all that stuff the guys are saying, but how difficult was the execution of that? And just showing how the two of them as rookies have been able to master that.
Yeah, I think for those guys, the effort, was starting with Rome with his instant reaction when he feels the play going off schedule. Chris Beatty's done a great job with the receivers, coaching them up on what are some of the scramble response rules and where to get to. But starts with that hustle and that effort, anytime a play breaks down. And then for the line up front as well, understanding, those would be the tempting times to maybe grab the defensive lineman or hold right there. But they did a great job saying clean hands, clean feet. And then, the rest of it, like that throw he's making rolling to his left, I'd love to say that we drilled that forever and then magically we made that happen. But man, he's got that ability, and to me, that's where finds that balance of, when's the right time. And that was obviously a great time to create something off schedule right there when he didn't feel his initial reads were there in rhythm. And then he's also clean with the ball to get through the line of scrimmage and find Rome down the field.
You played a lot of 12 personnel over the years. Why do you think that that's advantageous for what you want to do?
Yeah, I think first of all, the personnel groupings really starts with the players each individual year. So I think different years, different places I've been. If that tight end group is the depth of the team right there, or if it presents a matchup advantage that week. But I think when you have tight ends that are able to be multiple, like the way starting with Cole and Gerald have been, and Jim Dre's done a great job with making sure that those guys with Steven and Mercedes, that whole group of tight ends, all the way down to Sweeney and Bates, they've all done different things throughout the preseason, and that's really just about figuring out what role they can handle. What different ways can we utilize them? Because once they can line up more than just in line or more than and it's an F tight end and all he does is line up outside and run routes, then I think it presents the same personnel group to the defense, and then you're able to be multiple in the ways that you're able to get to different plays.
When you talk about Caleb's ability to understand and explain things that he sees in the game, is that normal for a player at his stage, for someone who hasn't played in a game yet?
I think for him, it's normal with our interactions. I think, like I said, each different rookie quarterback is a totally separate entity because they've had different backgrounds, different things. So I think for Caleb, just sticking in our world this year with him, and Austin Reed's done a nice job as far as a young quarterback that's been able to come in and pick up a system and have good understanding. But no, that's been something as a good foundational starting point for Caleb that then allows him to build the offense, build the concepts around him, knowing that he's got that starting point of being able to see, what the defense presents each snap.
What would be the advantage of playing Caleb this week starting? What would be the advantage?
What would be the advantage? Oh, just I think the accumulated reps. I think for all the young players around the league, it's always going to be that balance of how many preseason reps to play or not to play. But there's also the balance of the rest of the team. So it's something we'll work through this week, and I know Coach Eberflus will touch on it more in the following days.
Since you work with a bunch of prominent rookies, I'm curious, what do you consider to be your own rookie year in the NFL, whether it was an intern year or your first OC year, just what stands out to you?
I don't know. I've had a lot of different rookie years along the way, right? No path is always straight. Started off as an intern driving vans in New England, and was able to kind of work my way up through that system there. Had a different like kind of reset rookie year, being back with Sean McVay in Washington. So that was a whole nother world. Man, it never ends. I could say that GA-ing at Notre Dame with Charlie Weiss, or working in the UFL with Chris Palmer. There's been a lot of different variations. I think, as a young coach, to me, it was try to do the best job in the job that you had, knowing that all the things you're doing, like I just talked about drawing pictures with, Zach Taylor and I were talking about drawing pictures for Sean McVay, and maybe that's not your be-all, end-all goal, but you do the best job in that job that you have, knowing that what you want to do as a future as a coach. So had a lot of different stops along the way, and I think each one of them just try to learn and be a little bit better on the next stop.
With Karan being activated, what are you looking forward to seeing from him in practice, and what kind of timeline could it be to try to get him up to speed?
Sure. I think, Chris Morgan and Haas, they've done a really good job where he's been on the side, hasn't been able to participate in the live work right there. But from a meeting standpoint, from being locked in, and any chance he's on the field and is in earshot, I've talked to Karan a lot, and he does a great job of taking a mental rep every time he hears the play. So looking forward to him. Smart guy, smart, tough, and reliable that can start off, with a good base already. But there's no substitute for getting out there and doing it. So that's the biggest thing. I think like a lot of these stuff, I know I talk about it a lot, but the each one of these situations are all just individually based, and there might be different things that you can recall from the past that might lead you to hope one way or another, but that's just hoping, because you don't know until that individual does it. But he's put himself in all the, in the best position possible, knowing he's dealing with injuries, knowing he's, worked his way and done a great job with the training staff and the strength conditioning staff to put himself in position to get out on the field. And then, from a mental standpoint, he stayed so locked in every opportunity he's had. So now it's just about going out there and doing it.
Shane, what was your interpretation of Tyson's performance on Saturday as it relates to his continued development as well?
Yeah, I love Tyson's poise. He played with that calm, cool, and collected, demeanor at the line of scrimmage, was able to get right through, whether it was right through a progression to a second or third read, or number one's there, and he played in great rhythm right there. So he just showed that poise in the running game, the ownership of the offense. So it was great to see, and talk about a guy that hard work pays off. Man, no one's going to outwork him, and so it's great to see that out on the field.
And Keenan Allen said that Rome Odunze came in and he didn't need to be told or taught how to play receiver. What's like the biggest challenge that most rookie receivers come in with that Rome's already mastered?
I think it's the same for all the rookies, is the new playbook, right? And the different way of operating. I think there's unbelievable systems in college as far as the some of the spread out offenses that operate in a no huddle with signs and hand signals, and the way that they're operating at an ultra fast tempo. I know Rome had the benefit of being able to do a little bit of both at Washington, and so when I think the edge you see with him is when he walked in, and this was from early on, talking to him at the combine, and then all the way through the process. His ability to grasp the playbook, and not just for one position, but to be able to understand as a conceptual learner what each receiver does along the on each play. That allows him to move around and really be ahead of what would normally be, I think, the biggest challenge for a rookie receiver in terms of learning the system.
Shane, if Caleb doesn't play Thursday, these 43 snaps that he's played, what do you personally take away from your first two games, calling plays for him, being with him on the sideline? What have you learned about him in those two circumstances?
Yeah, I think Caleb has great poise, great resiliency. He's able to have that next play mindset, and so there's been some drives, whether it's the Buffalo drive where you have a backed up situation where he gets the ball all the way down the field there, and knowing in the preseason it's still all about taking care of the football. And so when stuff hasn't presented itself cleanly, he hasn't tried to force it or do too much in those situations. And like this past week where we talked about, we ended every drive with a kick. That's always going to be a goal, whether it's that PAT, the field goal, or a punt right there. And so he did that. And so just seeing him and seeing his growth in game, and knowing, going from the practice scenario then to seeing a live rush, and seeing, sometimes, where, in practice, you never know how some of those plays end, especially when we're not in pads. So seeing that come to life, just excited to keep working with him and watching him grow every day. Okay, alright, thank you.
Larry.